evening, cult members, and welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
Take two. This is going to be, I'll say it, our spoiler review of 1917.
The Germans win.
The Germans do not win.
Lose.
Spoilers. Welcome to Man in the High Castle.
Right.
No, the Germans lost both times. Off to a report start. So this is, we were just discussing this. This is the story of two guys given an order by the general to stop a charge on the other side of no man's land.
Right.
And they have to go to the new trenches, and the Germans have retreated, but it's a ruse. It's a ruse, as the English would say. Let's start off with talking about Sam Mendes, because that's kind of where we started the last time. This is what I would think is Sam Mendes's masterpiece. This is a love letter to his great-grandfather.
Yep.
He has a nice little thing at the end about his great-grandfather telling stories about World War I.
Yep.
And this is probably his best movie to date. I say to date because he always say, this is his best movie of his career. And it's like, okay, his career's not over, you know. It's,
right.
It's not
he
all
still
downhill.
Has time.
Yeah, he's still got time. But he's got the Bond movies and American Beauty and stuff like that in his background. So this is a movie that he was emotionally connected to, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
he's done up to date
yeah,
so far.
Definitely.
And he stepped away from doing Bond 25 to do this movie. So I mean, it's a big deal to him.
I think it might have been a good choice.
I think it's a good choice,
considering all the Oscar and award buzz it's been getting. So.
Yeah. So as of recording of this video, the Oscars came out this morning.
Yep.
And Roger Deakins, who was the cinematography, got nominated. They got nominated for Best Movie, and they got nominated for Director, and then like score and costume design and stuff like that.
Yes, but not editing.
We'll get into film editing here in a minute. But this movie, I think, we both talked about it, but I think for us specifically, we love this movie even more than maybe just regularly because we went and saw They Shall Never Grow Old,
right?
Which was the Peter Jackson documentary where he took old World War I footage and colorized it and 3D'd it, and he had old interviews that the BBC had done with people who fought in World War I and mixed it all together. There was no narrator or anything like that.
Right.
I just realized that didn't get nominated for the Oscar this year either. But the idea that we saw the actual footage of being in the trench and the bodies and the warfare and the guys and how they interacted with each other, having seen the actual footage and then turning around and seeing this movie, and it was like, other than the cameras were better, it felt pretty seamless.
Yeah, and realistic. There's a couple parts that you're like, if you're squeamish, you probably shouldn't see this movie.
Yes.
Because there's a couple parts.
The
river and in the quarry when he cuts his hand on the barbed wire and then he...
Oh, yeah. That, how did he not get an infection?
Well, it wasn't even a whole day. So he could have. He could have got an infection and died.
That's true. The two main guys for this is Dean Charles Chapman, who we just realized is Tommen, the second Tommen from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And then George McKay is the other guy, and they're buddies and stuff. And they carry the movie. It's very hard to kind of explain without like trying to say. I said it was going to be spoilers, so to hell with it. The camera is the third person in the group.
Yes.
They don't, they're not addressing the camera like it's a person or anything like that. But it's the third person in their group trying to go across no man's land and trying to get to this new spot and through the town and all that stuff. And having that intimacy between the two of them and the camera really helps carry this movie, I think, a lot more than just cool action scenes or tension just for tension's sake and stuff like that.
It's not, obviously, because it couldn't do this, but it's shot as if it was one long shot.
Yeah.
There's no breaks. There is, if you know what you're looking for. You know, when there's a scene where it's very dark because it's in the middle of the night, they could splice in there. There's scenes where there's like a lot of action or a lot of like people kind of in front of the camera, and they can splice it in there, but it's really shot it's a lot of dolly cams and
long tracking shots. And there's actually, it's in the trailer, the long running shot when the guys are coming up over the breach, he's running across the field, and there's explosions going on and stuff like that. We actually came home that night from watching the movie, and that actually I think it's One Perfect Shot on Twitter, I think that's who that was, had a side-by-side of the actual shot in the movie, and then another shot of how they actually shot it, and with the chase truck and the guy running and aerial views and how they did it all and stuff like that.
Yeah, and there's like this little dirt road, and they like CGI'd the dirt road out. So because obviously in the 19-teens there wouldn't be a dirt road out in the middle of this field.
Right.
And, it was cool.
So the story between the two of them, I think, is what is really kind of important to remember, and how I think it just helps carry the movie outside of the technical stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought that so Lance Corporal Blake, which is Dean Charles Chapman's character, and you see him in the bunker getting the orders to go to this other line, or his brother could potentially die, and you expect the movie to be about him and his buddy trying to go over there and give those orders. But then like they barely make it across no man's land, and he dies, and then it's left to his friend to.
I really think that this is a story of. It's based around World War I, but is a story of the human ability to just persevere.
Yeah.
Just to persevere enough to get, because if they don't make it, thousands of people are going to die needlessly.
Yeah. But at that point when he dies, it would have been very easy for his friend to just say, "We didn't make it." You know, it wasn't his mission. He got picked to tag along, right? It wasn't his mission. And then you kind of feel that even more so, like when he's in the town, and it's been bombed, to tell him, go to this town, take a left, go down to the trees, and that's where they'll be, or whatever.
Great instructions, guys.
Yeah. And he's going through this town, and it's been bombed, and he's just, every corner he goes around is another German shooting at him.
Yeah.
And you know, you feel the just give up, just find a place to hide, and he does, and stay there.
Right. And,
you know,
and don't.
But he keeps
persevering.
He keeps going.
Let's talk about the technical stuff for a second. We said it's one long continuous shot because of the way it's edited and stuff like that. And Roger Deakins is a freaking god. Yeah. Like, just straight out. He is the best cinematographer on the planet. I don't care. He only has one Oscar. He's got 16 nominations and one win. He got a nomination for this. The stuff specifically, there's a shot in the town where he's in there's a pan shot where he's in the tower and the flares are going off in the middle of the night, and the only lighting in the town is flames in the distance and the flare.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool.
It's like super black. Yeah. And then super white because of the lighting from the flares.
And just the use of the shadows and the angles, and like Roger Deakins is a fucking god. Like, I'm just going to say. And the fact that this movie is edited the way it is, and it didn't get nominated for editing, it did for everything else, pretty much, but not for editing. I don't understand. But the idea of what they did in this movie. Now, to be fair, we saw it in IMAX. So our experience may be different if we had saw it on a smaller screen or at home or on a screener or in a lesser screen. I'm going to say, just put it that way, a lesser screen. But because everything was big and grandiose and one continuous cut, and it's Roger Deakins shooting it, it's just like we got done. I'm like, I'll go see this right now. I'll go see this again right now. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And like we talked about, Sam Mendes is just being able to kind of tell this story that his grandfather told him multiple times, and a great grandfather. It was just it was just. Now, I'm not saying that directors aren't connected to their material whenever they do stuff. They're always connected, but having a more personal connection always seems to bring out a little bit more. Quentin was very much that way, and some of his movies is much more, personable. Personable is not the right word, but I'm going to go with it until I'm told differently. Anything else you want to talk about with this movie before we give it a score?
I don't think so.
We are going to count this in our 2020 movies because it didn't come out
unless you lived in LA or New York
until the 10th of January.
Right.
So we are going to count this in our 2020 movies.
All right.
Come at me. So skewer.
4.
I'm 4.5. For all the reasons I've already stated.
Right. For all those reasons.
The only reason this isn't maybe a higher score for me is I will watch this again, but I don't know if it's super rewatchable.
Yeah, I'd like to see it again at least one more time. But it's not something you can just throw on in the background, or
it's not that it's not enjoyable either.
Right. That's just not.
I was exhausted when we got done watching this movie. Because you're tensed up so much because of the way it's shot and everything, and so for me, it's the technical side of it that just makes it even more cool. So that is our thoughts on what's the movie 1917, the World War I movie. That's our thoughts on 1917. What did you think? Let us know in the comments. Be nice, that is a requirement, and let us know what other. They're just now starting to kind of get into telling stories about World War I. So you do want to see more World War I. Kind of, Red Baron, kind of that kind of stuff. That would be kind of fun. So let us know in the comments. Like this video. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. Help us out by following us on all the social media network stuff. Facebook, Instagram, sometimes Twitter. That's it. And until next time, I'm going to try not to cough in your ear. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.